Yeah, hello everyone. Now this is our fourth video. In this video, let's try to understand how we can add CSS in HTML document. Plus, we will try to understand in how many ways we can add CSS in our HTML document. So the first point, what we have to understand is how to add CSS properties in the HTML document. So to add CSS properties in HTML document, we have totally three ways. And those three ways are, the first way is inline approach. Second way is internal approach, or we can call it as a embedded approach. And third one is external approach. Third one is external approach. So how to add CSS in HTML document means, for that we have three ways. The first way is inline approach, second way is internal approach, third way is external approach. Let's try to understand these three approaches step by step. First, let me take inline approach. When it comes to inline approach, in this approach, we are going to add CSS properties as attributes. We are going to add CSS properties as attributes. So CSS properties are added as a attribute. And to add CSS properties, we are going to use style attribute. We are going to use style attribute. So style attribute is used to add CSS properties. Let's see the syntax. The syntax. So the syntax is, let's assume that we have one HTML element. Maybe I'm taking H2. And let's assume that I'm just adding a content like welcome to CSS. And I'm closing my H2 here. Now, to this H2, we can add one attribute called style. And we know how to add attributes. So we have to use key name, then we have to add equal to, and then double quotes. And now inside this double quotes, we have to add our CSS properties. We have to add our CSS properties. We have to just add our CSS properties. Apart from that, nothing else. Okay. Now to convert this into example, I can say here, it should be tag name. Here also it should be some tag name. And some kind of content we have to add here. And this is how this syntax is. And the example is, I can take H2 element. I can add some content like welcome to CSS. Now let me change the color of this content to white. And now to this H2, we can add style attribute. And inside this double quotes, we can mention any number of CSS properties. We can mention any number of CSS properties. For example, I can mention color property and whose value can be, for example, red. Whose value can be red. Then I can add semicolon to end the property, and I can add another property. For example, there is a property called padding, and I'm adding the value as 20 pixel. I'm adding the value as a 20 pixel. So this is how we are going to add CSS properties in inline approach. Another way is internal approach or embedded approach. In this internal approach, we are going to use style tag to add the CSS properties. So CSS properties are added using style tag. And this style tag, we have to add in the header section of HTML document. In the header section of HTML document. And the syntax is pretty clear and pretty simple. So for this, we have to simply take a style tag. We have to take a style tag, and inside that style tag, we have to mention our CSS properties. We have to mention our CSS properties. On very high level, I'm trying to teach. But to add CSS properties, first of all, we have to select our HTML elements. The element on which you want to add CSS properties, first you have to select that HTML element, then you have to add your CSS properties. It means first we have to select HTML element. And to select the HTML element also we have different approaches. And once you select your HTML element, then you can add CSS properties. And the example, if I just try to explain one simple example, then it would be something like this. So we can take a style tag. And here I can select any HTML element based on its tag name. And then I can mention some CSS properties here, like color, something like red, and semicolon. So this is how we are going to add CSS using using internal approach. So we are going to see practical as well in our next video. Here I'm just trying to explain theoretical concept of adding CSS in a different ways in our HTML document. And the last one is external approach. In external approach, what we are going to do is we are going to create a separate CSS file. And in that CSS file, we are going to add all our CSS code. And that CSS file, we are going to link with our HTML document. So in this approach, separate CSS file will be created. And it will be linked with HTML document. It will be linked with your HTML document. So it's like we will have our HTML document here. We will create one CSS document, nothing but CSS file. In this file, we are going to write our CSS code. And this file, we are going to link with our HTML document. This file, we will link with our HTML document. This is called external approach. We will discuss more about inline, internal, and external approach in a separate video. We will discuss what are the advantages of inline approach, what are the disadvantages, in which use cases we have to go with inline approach. Same with internal, same with external. So that things I will explain in the next set of videos. Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching this video.